Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video on Lumber Capital Log Yard. Today I'm going to be debunking 5 myths about logging and lumber. Let's get into this video. Starting off, the first myth is hardwood is hard and softwood is soft. Now, despite how misleading the name hardwood and softwood is, there are plenty of hardwoods that are softer than some softwoods and plenty of softwoods that are harder than some hardwoods. For example, basswood is considered a hardwood, but it is one of the more softer woods. On the Janka scale, basswood comes in at 410, whereas hemlock, which is definitely a softwood, comes in at 500. It's not that much of a difference, but still, hemlock is harder than basswood. The second myth that we're going to be talking about today is that pressure-treated lumber lasts a long time. And this just simply isn't true, because while pressure treating your lumber does make it rot resistant, it doesn't make it water resistant. I don't know if you guys have ever picked up a pressure treated piece of lumber after it's just gotten rained on, but it does still soak up the moisture. So this means that it is still susceptible to cupping, bending, warping, and it will eventually biodegrade and go back to the earth. So there are just some common misconceptions about pressure treated lumber and its capabilities. Now moving on to the third myth, that is, for every 1 tree that is taken down, 2 should be planted. Now, I don't know if this is something that a lot of people believe, but I have heard said, and I can see how in some circumstances this would be important, but as far as the East Coast goes, the environment does a very good job replanting its own trees, all right? It doesn't usually need us to step in and plant trees for it, and I get a lot of comments saying, do you replant after you're done harvesting? And the simple answer is no, because we don't need to. The earth does its job very well, and in another good 30 years, it will be ready to harvest again without us ever having to interfere and plant any trees. That's why I always find it interesting when I hear people say that wood is not a renewable source, because while I do know it is different in other parts of the world, here on the East Coast, let me just say there's no shortage of trees. The fourth myth is that trees provide us with the oxygen we breathe. Now, while I would never want to diminish the benefits of trees, because I know that they are very important, and while they certainly provide us with some of the oxygen, most of it actually comes from the ocean. And that would make sense because the ocean covers like 75% of the world, so it's a much larger percent than the trees. So the idea that we would all of a sudden run out of air if all of a sudden the trees disappeared, that's just not going to actually happen. There'd be a lot worse things than that to worry about, but oxygen would not be one of them. Our fifth and last myth for today is that logging is an exciting job. Despite the fact that it's pretty well known that logging is like the second most dangerous job in the world, it doesn't stop people from thinking that the idea of going out in the woods every day and cutting down trees is just super fun and exciting. But the truth of the matter is, it's much like other jobs, pretty repetitive, except for the 1 second of sheer panic that you get when you almost lose your life. Besides that, it's not much of a thrill. Now, whether you like that pump of adrenaline when you ride a roller coaster, this kind of adrenaline is a little different, because when you're on a roller coaster, you know that you're going to be safe, at least you hope, unless you're like me and roller coasters just freak you out in general. But logging, this kind of adrenaline, being so close to death on a regular basis, isn't the kind that gets you actually excited. So just wanted to clear that up. I think that it's very glorified, the whole logging situation, and sometimes people need to see that it's just not all that it might appear. That being said, logging is still a very important job, and we should appreciate those who take the time to learn the art. Anyways, that's it for today's video, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. But other than that, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you back here next week.